All right, it is now 11 o'clock, and let's check in with our good friend Joe Skurzewski at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Good afternoon, or I should say good morning. It's still morning. It feels like an afternoon for me, Joe. How are you?
Jay, I with everything we've been doing this past week, I don't worry, but I've lost track of time too. It's this whole week has been a blur, but it's been a very exciting blur. Let's say that.
I bet it has. Well, day three centers around the vice president candidate yesterday, J.D. Vance. Can you tell us a little bit about the debut and his speech last night?
Yes, the vice president spoke, or the vice president nominee rather, spoke for probably a little over a half hour. He was introduced by his wife, Usha Vance, who talked to the audience about how they got married and forged a life together despite their different backgrounds. They come from very different backgrounds, and when he came out and spoke, came across very polished. In terms of optics, you could say that a guy like him lived up to the moment. It was a
Mm-hmm.
very, polished address. We can get into fact checking some of the things that he discussed, but spoke, like I said, for about a half hour and talked a lot about like returning American jobs back home, energy independence, and talking about the need, why the party believes that they need to reelect Donald Trump to the office. It was a pretty electric audience as well. There was also some joking back and forth because he's from Ohio State, and obviously Michigan is a big state up for grabs. So there was some joking back and forth between the Ohio State and Michigan fans in the audience. That was kind of a lighthearted moment.
Very good, very good. The convention's billed today, day four, as Make America Strong Again. I understand that Governor Burgum gave now a rousing 6-minute speech. What did that cover?
Yeah, so he didn't have a ton of time to the floor, but when he took the floor last night, he made the most of his time out there. He talked about kind of what JD Vance touched on last night around. It was probably about 7:15, 7:20. The governor took the stage, talked for about 6 to 10 minutes, whatever it was, and focused mainly on energy independence. I think he knew he had a short window to talk, so he made that his talking point. I could tell the governor was trying really hard to be energetic and pump up the crowd. Talked about how the party believes that Donald Trump will make the country energy independent again and less reliant on foreign powers for our energy. He got a decent reception for the crowd. It was a tough time slot for him because it was kind of shortly after the dinner hour, but before some of the human interest, real people speakers came out. So it was kind of an in between point. But I think the governor made the most of his time.
Okay. And tonight, former President Trump is expected to accept his party's nomination.
Yes, he is. This is going to be a ruckus crowd. There's going to be a lot of people in this arena as well. We found out too that President Trump is likely rewriting his speech. It may have something to do with what happened this past weekend with the shooting at the rally in Pennsylvania. But we're told that he basically ripped up the speech that he had, is working on rewriting it, and wants to make it more personal. Probably isn't going to start until, well, the program tonight is probably going to go until about 10:30 at least, and that's if it's on schedule. But you know, usually, typically, presidential nominees, they talk for about a half hour at these conventions. Uh, Bear with me here. If you hear the Emancipation Proclamation, they're doing audio checks here on at the arena. So, but yeah, we're expecting a ruckus crowd, and I'm sure he's going to touch on, making America first. Why they believe the party should come back to power. If he's going to get personal, I suspect he's also going to talk about his family, because we've heard a lot of personal anecdotes from members of the Trump family, his sons, his granddaughter. We're expecting to hear from his daughter Ivanka today, I believe. We're also may hear from Melania. She's supposed to be in the building today. But I mean, politics aside, I'm expecting a powerful speech. It's going to be electric in here. It's going to be electric when they drop those balloons as well. We're also going to hear from a couple other, I believe Dana White's going to speak today. Hulk Hogan's going to speak today. So there's going to be some big names here in the last day.
Yeah. Personal opinion, Joe, do you think that former President Trump is going to alter the speech or maybe do a little rewrite to maybe include more, tone down the rhetoric a little bit? Do you think that's probably maybe in the speech?
I think so. That was kind of a thing that earlier this week, the speakers were told to adjust their addresses to tone down some of the rhetoric, especially in light of what happened this past weekend, and focus on the progress for the country and moving the country forward, rather than, I mean, some speakers have stuck to digging their heels in and using some of the rhetoric that we often hear on campaign trails. But some of the speeches have been a lot softer, more heartfelt. It's been a lot more personal stories, and I'm expecting to hear that from Donald Trump. This could be a different angle to Donald Trump that maybe we've seen before. Remember, he hasn't done any interviews since the shooting. He hasn't spoken with any media. We have tried to reach out as well, work our sources to get an interview. Word is he might have considered it, but I think he's saving all of his juice for tonight, and we might see a softer side of the former president.
All right. And what time will the former president take the stage tonight to accept the nomination, roughly, if they're on time?
Yeah, probably. Well, I'm going to guess it's either going to be 9 Central Time, 9:30 or 10 o'clock. A lot of it's kind of fluid right now for obvious reasons, but he's the final thing tonight, and like I said, he talks for about a half hour. I'm going to guess it would be around 9:30 to 10 p.m. Central Time.
Okay. And one final thing, Joe. President Biden yesterday testing positive for COVID.
Yeah, it's so much has happened in this past week, Jay, in the political world, from the shooting to continuing pressure on the Democratic side for President Biden to drop out. The president did test positive for COVID yesterday, as you said. He is said to be in good health, has mild symptoms, and was resting at his home, one of his homes. So that's the message, at least, that the administration is pushing out. Talking with some of the other journalists here, we could be imminently seeing an announcement from the White House or from the president regarding his future and the campaign. He has, up until this moment, remained adamant he's going to stay in the race, but we're seeing a lot of prominent Democrats coming forward and, advising him that the polling numbers for him don't look good. And if the party wants a chance to win the election, that they should look in another direction, probably to the Vice President, Kamala Harris. We've heard pressure from Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Adam Schiff, and a whole line of other Democrats that are saying it's probably time for Joe to pass the torch.
Yeah, they've got decisions to make before their convention in Chicago coming up here in just a few weeks. Joe Skurzewski, Thank you so much, sir. Before we let you go, though, I want to take a look around behind you there. What do you got? You in press row? What do you got happening there?
Yeah, here, I'm just going to turn this around real quick. So this is one of the setups. Here, I'm going to flip this around if I can. Well, here, I'm just going to go like this, sake of time. So you can kind of see here behind me, this is what we call the indoor row here that we have. These are all different networks that we have that are covering this convention. Turn it around here. So we got each different station here. We have like USA Today. We have our Gray station in Madison right now that is actually interviewing former Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. So this is where one of the spots that Justin and I have been set up this week doing our live shots. We've been doing our live shots right here where the former governor is being interviewed during the 6 o'clock hour. Justin has a live shot here at noon. You have an outstanding view of the convention floor right here. Want to give a shout out to our Gray affiliates, our Gray colleagues in Washington that helped us coordinate all of this. There are so many moving parts here. We got it down to a science with a grid of who has a live shot during what block and when. It's a lot of work, and it's a consummate team effort on behalf of everybody with Gray. But it's a really cool setup that we have here.
Fantastic. Well, good job, Joe. You guys have been doing a great job keeping us aware of what's happening there with the Republican National Convention. Thank you for your hard work, and I will talk with you once again at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning at this time, and we'll kind of recap what former President Trump had to say and night number 4 as they put the wraps on the convention there in Milwaukee, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Joe. We'll catch up to you tomorrow. It is now 10 minutes past the hour here at the KFOR Plus News Desk. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back with a look at your local headlines next.